In the Digimon Tamers anime series, Digimon existed as a card and video game franchise. So, Bandai US thought what better way to incorporate this into the release of the D-Power pedometer electronic toy than to have an accompanying CD game and cable so that users could connect their Digivice up to their computers to save their progress and even play online. The Korean release of the Japanese D-Arc also came with a similar game with a similar premise, and one of these days I'll import the Korean one, probably, but it's sort of harder to come by than any of the other versions. Sadly, both the European and the versions released in Southeast Asia and Australia didn't feature this incredibly cool addition, and actually were different altogether with different sprites, gameplay, and even different shells. Where the button on the US and Japanese version was actually used to turn the screen on, this button on the European and Asian versions was a reset button. The belt clip itself was also just a cheap bit of plastic on the European and Asian releases, whereas its material on the Japanese and the American version. The D-Powered Digivice itself functioned like the pedometer Digimon toys before it. You walk with the Digivice to deplete a step count and fight enemies while you do so. Except this one featured the Digimodify card swipe mechanic from the show. In addition to the CD-ROM and cable, the D-Power came packaged with a solid plastic blue card. This is a lot easier to swipe than the standard TCG cards that were packaged with the European, Asian, and Japanese releases. They just had the standard cardboard ones, so you could use that with the card game. So it's pretty cool that they gave us like a little plastic one for the US version. When starting up the D-Power, you choose a Digimon partner out of the 3 main Digimon. Each of the 3 has a fighting style that they are better at: Sniper, Speed, and Power. When walking, you can encounter computers which you can break to get items which you can use in battle, but you can also find the other 2 partner Digimon, so you can swap between the 3 once you unlock and meet all of them. You can also encounter evil Digimon to battle, and when the step distance reaches 0, you fight a boss in order to clear the area and move on to the next one. When battling, you can either use chips or swipe a card to determine the attack style. The speed that you swipe the blue card determines which style your Digimon will fight in. As you proceed through the game, your Digimon will also be able to evolve, so as you clear these areas. In terms of the computer game, if you have a computer with a 9-pin serial port, or you've bought a serial to USB adapter that specifically uses the Prolific driver, other ones don't seem to work, you'll be able to upload your Digimon from your Digivice to your computer. If you're using a more modern computer, the setup might not run correctly. However, I found that the Wayback Machine actually has the archive of the Bandai America website, and in 2002, Bandai actually uploaded a patch which fixes this issue. This is really handy. I downloaded it and I was able to fully run the setup, where it just sort of, before I installed the patch, just gave me a fairly standard background screen without any installation wizard. So during the setup, you can choose which COM port the cable is plugged into, and you can find this out by opening Device Manager on your PC. You'll also be asked to pick a character from the first 3 series of the anime, but this is fairly useless as it was just your avatar in the online portion. In terms of how to get this game installed, especially on a modern computer, I've actually gone ahead and written up a how-to guide which you can find on LostinTranslationmon.com, but I'll also link in the description, and hopefully that's a little bit more helpful. I originally wanted to run through how to do so on this video, but it was just more straightforward just to have everything written down anyway. So check that out. I've also linked the serial adapter that I ended up using as well. Once everything is set up and installed, other than acting as a handy backup of progress if your batteries on your Digivice runs out, you can also check on your Digimon status and read encyclopedia entries about the Digimon that appear in the D-Power game, as well as the ones from this game itself. You can also fight against CPU Digimon in the training hall. You can choose any of the Digimon that you've unlocked or been able to evolve to, but the CPU is fairly easy to beat, and you can beat it with limited attempts, really. It's not that hard. You just sort of button mash and the CPU doesn't really move. Sadly, the servers for the online game are no longer online, and that's a shame because it would have been cool to be able to see how that's going in 2022. But everything in terms of offline gameplay from this game still works. And at least it's a cute relic of the past, but I wish there was a way to check out the online gameplay, but from what I found, there's not, which is kind of sad. I honestly really wish that more of these Digivices came with PC games, but maybe not if they would have just gone ahead and used some outdated tech. So there you have it, there's the D-Power US PC game. I really wish that this had a wider release rather than just the US. It only released in 3 different colours, red, green and blue, and they didn't release any other versions of it like they did with the Southeast Asia and Australian releases. But yeah, so that's basically it until I find out a way to get the online server portion of the game working, which would be really cool to see, but I'm not too optimistic in getting that working. But I'm happy enough that the actual game itself I was able to install and run and get working on a Windows 10 computer. Haven't tested on Windows 11, but I'm going to have to say it's probably going to be the same. You're probably still going to have to download the patch from the website. Super lucky that I found that. I was just Googling around and I just so happened to find the right link in terms of that. But in any case, a quick shout out to Pepper Rocket over on Twitter, who helped me with various settings that I had to fiddle around with, and also helped me work out that it was a driver issue. That was why my other adapter wasn't working. It had a different driver that apparently wasn't as compatible with the game, and that's why I specifically set a prolific driver one. In the blog post that I made outlining how to get this installed, I did link the one that I bought, so you can use that if need be. In any case, that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments your thoughts about all this, because I'm just excited I got it working. Like this video if you appreciate the how-to guide that I've written, I guess. Subscribe if you haven't already, and of course, I'll see you on the next one. Bye!